Irish senator forced to sleep in his car. Ireland, 2022. Modern, advanced, fast. A place you'd think everybody'd love to live there. Well, apart from the rain, that is. Don't mention the rain. Anyway, best boys and girls in the EU class. A shining example of how a small nation, a once agrarian society, farming background, can become at the very cutting edge, the leaders of the pack in terms of nationhood and what it is to be a fully fledged, modern, successful nation. But how can it be that one of its politicians, or perhaps more than one it seems, is forced to sleep in their cars to attend Parliament? Well, I was quite flabbergasted when I saw this story popping up. I thought, no, this can't be. It couldn't possibly be in Ireland. Politicians, our best and brightest, our legislator class, having to sleep in their cars. Would it be right? Surely there's some mistake. But is there? Oh, let's pop on over here to the Sun. The Sun. Always a good place to start when you're looking for the truth. Sorry. Irony alert. Right, the Sun. No, they do, have their moments. Room to rent, says the Sun. Adam Higgins. Well, let's get to the bottom of this. Politicians having to sleep in their cars, because I'm sure you're as curious about this as I am. Maybe it's a load of old bunk. Maybe it's not true. Maybe they're not sleeping in cars at all. Have you ever slept in your car? I've slept in my car once or twice. It's for various reasons. It's not the most pleasant of experiences. You tend to wake up with a bit of pains and aches and a crick in your neck. Apart from probably frozen, unless you leave the heater on and use half a tank of petrol. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track. What's this about the politicians? That's what nobody gives a shit about me sleeping in my car. What about the politicians sleeping in their cars? That's what we need to get to the bottom of. Room to rent, says Adam Higgins in the Sun. Senator forced to sleep in his car due to lack of vacant hotel rooms in Dublin. But I didn't try B&Bs. See? Who's this lad here? There he is. There's the man of the world, one of the men of the moment. Didn't try B&Bs. All right. Okay. Immediately does this. You see, I knew there had to be more to this. Who's this guy here? He's a senator for a start. So if you don't know about the Irish political system, we have the Dáil Éireann, which is our House of Commons. It's the Parliament, although in these days of the EU hegemony, it's just basically a glorified county council. But they let us pretend to have a Parliament and pat us on the head and, let us at it, so long as we don't do anything that might upset them, because then they'll just overrule it. But anyway, if you think that's bad, and it is bad, it only took us 4 generations to give away everything we spent 700 years fighting for, but I won't go down that track. The Senate is our upper house. It's kind of like our House of Lords. So if you think the Dáil is a waste of time, you should see the Senate, because they can't do anything at all. Basically, the Senate, unlike the American Senate, which is a totally different thing, our Senate is the upper house, House of Lords, except more shit. They can't do anything really except talk. Now, we had a chance to get rid of it a few years ago in a referendum, but unfortunately for us, it was around the time that everybody wanted to give the government of the day a good kicking. So whatever the government proposed, we were going to vote it down. Unfortunately, we shot ourselves in the foot, because they proposed to get rid of the Senate and we voted to keep it. Our own worst enemies, honestly, our own worst enemies. Yeah, so the Senate really is just a talking shop, and to cut a long story short, what the Senate is used for is as an incubator for up-and-coming talent, as the political parties see it. It's somewhere to kind of bring them up that's harmless, to see how good or bad they are. They kind of throw them in there, and they can do no harm, but it's a kind of a trial run before they try and promote them into the Dáil. And it's also used as an old folks home for washed up politicians. So essentially, if you get booted out of your seat in the Dáil, and you're kind of at a bit of a loose end, well, instead of you hanging around at home, usually they'll try and put you into the Senate, just to kind of give you something to do so you can hang around for a while, or so it's an old folks home, and it's also a kindergarten. That's really all the Senate is. It's of no practical use to the country at all. Anyway, sorry, it's just Irish politics 101. Room to rent. Okay, let's go on here with Adam Higgins. Some rural politicians, says Adam, are sleeping in their cars when they come to Dublin for work because they cannot find a hotel room available in the capital, it has been claimed. Fianna Fáil Senator Eugene Murphy, that's Eugene there. Yeah, good man Eugene, looking very dapper. Senator Eugene Murphy. He's definitely not an up and coming, I can tell you that straight away just by looking at him. Senator Eugene Murphy revealed that he has slept in his car twice recently because of the lack of hotel rooms in the capital, and I don't doubt that he has, because what his motives were, well, that I can probably doubt, but don't lack that he probably did it. There's a property crisis in the whole country. Don't mind Dublin. There's just, when we've just brought in, I think the latest figure is 30,000 Ukrainians. On top of, we already had a housing crisis before Putin did anything, so you can't hang that one on Putin. So we've no accommodation. We've a property crisis. There's no hotel rooms, and they've basically booked up a lot of hotels. The government has, to put Ukrainian refugees into. So now that we're out of the couve, the whole couve debacle. We're out of that, so the tourist industry is coming back, which everybody wants and which we're all happy about. But there's nowhere for tourists to stay because there's no hotel rooms. The place is just in a disaster. There's Irish people sleeping on the streets of Dublin in tents. I've shown that before. Anyway, let's have a look at this handsome chap and see what led this poor unfortunate senator to sleep in his car. Senator Eugene Murphy. All right, no vacancies. All right, fair enough. Right, Dublin hotels are under pressure. This is the headline. Due to return of international tourism. Well, I get that. The government is using hotels to accommodate Ukrainian refugees. I told you that too, who have escaped the Russian invasion. Fair enough. The county Roscommon. He's from Roscommon. Good man. Politician said that he's aware of a small number of TDs and senators who have slept in their cars in recent months. So it's not just him. Byline is feel sorry for Irish politicians. No, I don't think so. He told RTE, quote, particularly over the last month or 6 weeks, it has been particularly difficult to get a room anywhere in Dublin, in the Dublin region. Quote, just to put that into context, I was successful in getting a room one night in the last 3 in the hotel I booked. I tried to book forward for this week and next week, and they told me there was not a chance of getting a room. Not a chance. No, Eugene, sorry, Senator. Get lost. Quote, it's a difficult time at the moment, but I don't want to be whinging. You are whinging, Eugene. This is a whinge. Don't want to be whinging about this because there are people in far greater difficulty out there in relation to housing. Well, that is never a truer word said. Anyway, that's enough of the Sun. I can't give the Sun too much time because it's a Sun. Roscommon Herald. He was a Roscommon man, so I figure let's go to the source. Let's get down to Roscommon here. See what the Roscommon Herald has to say about their lad. There he is again. Handsome gentleman. Fianna Fáil Senator Eugene Murphy. Roscommon Senator, we got that, forced to sleep in his car. Alright, who's this? Who's writing this? Fiachra Gallagher. Alright, Fiachra, what have you got for us about? A Roscommon man talking about his Roscommon senator. So this should be we should be getting a deep dive here. A Fianna Fáil senator has revealed, says Fiachra, that he's been forced to sleep in his car in recent weeks due to an increased demand for hotel rooms in Dublin. Senator Eugene Murphy told the Roscommon Herald, do you read the Roscommon Herald? It's great. Loads of good stuff in there. That he has slept in his car twice in recent months when, despite exhaustive efforts, it didn't ring any B&B's, bed and breakfast. No, it's just that. Exhaustive efforts, quote, that's in quotes, and you know why, because it wasn't very exhaustive. Or you might exhaust easily, Eugene. Yeah, it looks like he probably would, in fairness. He was unable to secure a room in the capital. Quote, one night I rang 7 hotels, this is Eugene, and I couldn't get a bed in any of them. But he didn't ring any bed and breakfast. because that's the standard of politicians we have here. Although he was quick to stress many in the country face a far bigger problems. That's quite true. That's very, very true. Because most people don't have makey up cushy jobs in a completely useless House of Parliament. Due to long working hours. No, hold on. He was quick to stress that many in the country face bigger housing problems. Senator Murphy said that he wanted to point out that these things affect politicians too, in different ways. As in, feel sorry for politicians. But I'm sorry, I'm not. No, I'm not buying that, Eugene. I'm not buying that package. Due to long working hours, doing what? You're in the Senate. What are you doing? What? What are you doing? You can't do anything in the Senate except show up, read maybe, look out the window, talk to people, I guess, have a cup of tea. Due to long working, sorry, I'm probably, I'm ragging on them, but they deserve to be ragged on because we shouldn't have a Senate. It's a useless chamber that does nothing. Just cost us money, essentially. That's what it does. Due to long working hours, commuting from Roscommon to Dublin, says Eugene, leaves little time for rest. He never stops, this man. Senator Murphy said that he might not return home till 1 a.m. from the pub. No, from the Senate. Only to be back on the road at 4:30. Eugene, you're over egging the pudding here a little bit, in fairness. He's only home at 1, he's back on the road at 4:30. I don't think the CEO of Coca-Cola does that. Jesus, lad. I mean, to beat the traffic. Okay, Eugene, if you say so. It leaves, it says Eugene, quote, it leaves very little time for a proper sleep. Well, it would. You're in at 1 and you're out at 4. You better have a chance to get the bed warmed up at that. It leaves very little time for proper sleep. It's not a healthy environment. Says health nut Eugene. No, I'm sure he is very healthy. It leaves very little time for a proper sleep. Yeah, I get that. It's sometimes hard to concentrate in your work when you don't get proper sleep. What work? You're a senator. What do you do? Senator Murphy said that he knows of other politicians based in rural counties who are in similar positions. There are some hotel rooms available, but prices are extremely high, says Eugene. On principle, I wouldn't pay over €200 a night for a hotel. I just wouldn't. He's a man of principle, is Eugene. Well, he is an Irish politician. So principle is very high on their agenda. I'll go on. What else does he say? There are a lot of business people, a lot of tourists around at the moment, and it would seem they will pay the price for a hotel room, Senator Murphy said. The scenario is caused by a number of factors, he said, and ultimately it's a supply and demand issue. Well, no shit, Sherlock. The demand is there, the supply isn't. See, that's why you need people like this in the Senate, people who know what they're talking about. Who says? Ciara McCockley, email journalist. What's an email journalist? More Roscommon news. Funding, National Volunteer. Roscommon Company celebrating 15 years in business. What? That's news? What is it, local Spar? Alright, forget all that crap. Right, let's... Okay, the Westmeath Independent. Just looking at this Roscommon thing here for a second. Just looking at the ground news rating for Roscommon, for the Roscommon Herald. It's 100% right-leaning. Oh, I've never seen that before. 100%. Oh, look up at the top there. Buy a split across 3 sources. 100% right. What are you, D Stormer? It's some. All right, Roscommon Herald. I don't know how you get to be 100% right leaning, but fair enough. Probably the newspaper of the alt-right there, the far right. Right, the Westmeath Independent. We'll wrap this up with Eugene because I'm finding it hard to have sympathy for this man's plight. I mean, he's on what? What do senators get? I think it's 70 grand a year, basic salary, and that's without expenses, right? They also get, I think it's 120 quid allowance per night to stay wherever they want. Doesn't have to be a hotel. Could be a B&B, bed and breakfast. Could be, I don't know, somebody's house, whatever. They get 120 quid on top of their salary just for accommodation on the nights they're in Dublin. So, yeah, on principle he wouldn't pay 200 quid. And I know, I get that there is a hotel crisis, it's an accommodation crisis. But you can't tell me that that he couldn't find somewhere to stay. So this is a lot of just look at me. Oh, woe is me. I'm a senator and I'm so put upon. It's a tragedy. Let's just finish off. Eugene there in full flow, giving it loads there. Adrian Cusack here in the Westmead Independent. Roscommon Senator, we know he was forced to sleep in his car. Well, he wasn't forced to sleep in his car at all. So I'm not going to go through all this. We'll see if there's anything else in here that might shed light on this terrible, absolute, horrendous situation. I'm sure you're all out there tearing your hair out. Well, looks like Eugene tore his hair out at some point. But anyway, yes, you're out there absolutely beside yourselves. In sympathy and empathy for this man. Anyway, sleep in his car. Right, Eugene Murphy, here we go. Eugene Murphy, who was a Roscommon Galway TD. So, do you remember what I was saying at the start about the Senate, right? So here's a little bit of extra for Eugene Murphy. He was in the Parliament. He was a TD. He lost his seat. He was kicked out. So he was obviously, the people didn't want him no more. He was obviously either doing a crap job or doing no job. I don't know which. Anyway, he lost his seat in the Parliament. The voters said, you gotta go. You ain't for us anymore. So did he go off and no, he didn't. His party, Fianna Fáil, they just, catapulted. They just shunted him into the Senate. So he can hang around there for a few years and then try and get his seat back. Yeah, there you go. That just proves my point. Waste of time, absolute waste of time. So he's there, part of the old folks brigade. He's just part of the past it gang. Right, so he became a senator. So basically he was shunted in there. They just kind of, crowbarred him into the Senate. Because you can do that. It's not an election. I can't vote in the Senate. Only certain people can vote, and there's a certain amount of senators are just basically picked by different by the Taoiseach, the Prime Minister. He can pick 10 of them or something. So you can just basically pick your friends, and the whole thing is just gerrymandered. It's a waste of time. Yesterday in the Irish Daily Mail, we finished this up, included a story about an unnamed Oireachtas member, that's Parliament by the way, who slept in their car because they were unable to find a secure place to stay in Dublin. Listeners to Claire Byrne were told that Senator Murphy was not the subject of the mail story. He says it wasn't him, but he's another lad in the same position, is what he said. He could identify it because he had similar experiences. Yeah, I don't want to be whinging, he said when he was whinging. In addition to their salary, Oireachtas members receive an overnight accommodation allowance of €120. I said that. But Senator Murphy said he hadn't looked for a room in Dublin's pricier hotels because he wouldn't pay more than the £200. Because, as we said, he's a man of principle. He's a man of principle. Yeah, God. That's why he lost his seat, probably, because he was a man of principle. Said nobody ever. On a point of principle, yeah, we got that. When she asked him why he didn't drive home on the nights when he had nowhere to stay in the capital, Senator Murphy said his work in Dublin often went on till 10 p.m. No, Jesus, I don't think so, lad. As I said, I don't think the CEO of Coca-Cola works them hours. I wouldn't get out of there before 10. I'd be lucky to get home in 2 hours plus. So maybe 12 or shortly after 12, I'd get to bed by 1 because he'd have a cup of cocoa and, I don't know, feed the dog or something. And then I'd be up at 4. No, Eugene, I'm sorry, Eugene, maybe. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I don't think so. Yeah, okay. And then you have to be on the road by 4 to beat the traffic going into Dublin. The traffic in Dublin is pretty horrendous. But I don't think you'd have to leave at 4, in fairness. It's difficult, it's tough. This is Eugene again. It's difficult, it's tough. And he's not whinging. In my situation, you'd end up with 3.5 hours sleep, and you definitely find that the next day you're just not able to function as you should because of lack of sleep. Function doing what? You're in the Senate, man. You're in the Senate. He said that on the nights he spent in his car, he had driven to a filling station in the Mullingar area. Usually, quote, this is Eugene again, not whinging. Usually around Mullingar, I would pull into a forecourt and sleep there. And around 5:30 in the morning, wake up and head for Dublin. No doubt with a crick in his neck, because that's how you wake up when you sleep in your car. Stiff neck. Yeah, you'd try to shave and have a change of clothes and then get to your office and have a bit of breakfast, but you certainly don't feel good in the morning after such an event. He said he never slept in his car inside the gates of the Parliament, Leinster House, but he knew of somebody who did. Oh Lord, it gets worse. They'll be sleeping on park benches next. Quote, I did think about sleeping in my office one time, but that probably wouldn't be a proper thing to do, he said. Okay, all right, lads, come on. Yeah, okay, I don't want to hear any more of him not whinging. So there you go. There's more holes in this story than a Swiss cheese. I think Senator Eugene Murphy, who lost his Dáil seat because people didn't want him anymore. So he's now their senator. Haha! You thought you were getting rid of me? No, I'm now in the Senate. I'm back. Yeah, the Roscommon people rejoiced that he was still around. Yeah, so the whole thing is a crock of crap. He basically, this is his 2 minutes of fame. He's looking to get re-elected, so he was all over this like a rash. He was all over this like a tramp on chips when he heard this was getting a bit of traction. He basically jumped onto the airwaves to say, no, it wasn't me personally, but I have done it, so it kind of was me in a roundabout way, and everybody feels sorry for me and vote for me in the next election. But no, he didn't ring any bed and breakfast, and on principle, because he is a man of principle, got that in there, he wouldn't pay more than 200 quid. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, yeah, when I saw this story, I thought, nah, there's got to be more to this, and there is more to this, as in, it's a load of shite. No, sorry, Eugene, you're a senator. You can't do anything in the Senate. It's a talking shop, is all it is. It's somewhere for you to go of a day to get you out of the house. That's all it is. While you hang round, hoping to come good in the next election. So, do you feel sympathy for him? I'll tell you somebody who doesn't. Me.